Hello, everybody. So, long time no talk. If you are a faithful watcher of this channel, or even if you just noticed my not uploads for like the last 2 weeks, you would have noticed that there have not been videos. And I remember in my January videos, I kind of explained, I had some personal things going on, which those have finally kind of like settled. We're into a nice groove. Um, I feel more comfortable filming and all that now, but I also hit like a wall of burnout suddenly, and I don't know, I just could not finish videos for January, so I made the decision to tack those videos onto the February videos, but I also decided that for February, I'm going to do like I did in October, and I'm going to put a video up every single day, or I'm going to try to. All of the videos have been researched, the scripts are written, I just have to film them. So that is what I'm going to try to do. Um, and I'm going to try to do this for March and possibly April. And that's because come like May or June, I am wanting to take a very long break and just relax in the summer with very minimal videos, if any. So I kind of just want to give like a nice stream of content. I enjoy doing that, but it takes a lot of time to research and film, and just the cases are really hard to just read about in general, so they can kind of just suck your energy. But I am going to try to have videos up every single day for at least the next month, so that's the plan. With that being said, all the links that I use for research will be down below like always, and let's go ahead and get into this now that I've wasted like 2 minutes of your time. Today we're going to be talking about the case of Norris Brister, and this is a really senseless case that didn't need to happen. It's also really sad, and you know what, you're just going to know when we read about it. But it is very sad once we actually get into the details. So Norris was born in New Orleans into a giant family. He was the 12th of 13 children, a lot of siblings. Unfortunately, he would pass away on July 31st, 2016 at the age of 51, still very young. He was baptized at an early age at First Church of God in Christ. He went to school in the Orleans parish school system and was the class of 1982. He would eventually have a big family of his own. He had 8 children, 4 boys and 4 girls, so perfectly even, and 17 grandchildren. That is a lot of love to go around. He is described as being a hardworking man who always had a smile on his face. His coworkers say that he was always fun to be around, and he was dependable. I also want to stop right here because I did forget to mention this. I could find very few photos of Norris. So there's really only like 2 or 3, so I do apologize. But I am going to have photos of like where this case takes place. But I did just want to let you guys know that there's really not a whole lot of photos of Norris, so I'm very sorry. But getting back into it, he enjoyed playing football, pool, and being with his grandkids. At the time he was killed, he lived with his daughter, Kentrell, and her family on the same block that he would be killed on. Norris was a food runner at the Cornet restaurant on Bourbon Street in the French Quarter. The night he was killed, he had finished a shift shortly after 11 p.m. on a Saturday, according to staff and some of his family members. Tina Margiotta, a bartender at Cornet, said he would usually shoot pool with some coworkers once he finished his shift, but this time he actually decided to go straight home after work. And when I read that, I kind of in the back of my mind was like, but what if he had just stayed and decided to play pool for a little bit? Could this incident have just not happened to him? What if he had just like stayed a little bit longer? Maybe he would still be alive. His daughter Kentrell believes he boarded a bus to New Orleans East. His normal routine was to get a ride from a friend, but lately he'd been taking the bus and then walking from a stop at Momson Board and Newcastle Street. It would have been well after midnight when he would arrive to his block. Shortly before 1 a.m., police said 2 shots rang out. Norris was dead by the time they arrived on the scene. Cantrell wasn't home at the time of the shooting, but arrived in time to see the detectives investigating the crime. So she literally saw the crime scene of where her father was, and that is a horrifying and disturbing thought, and I am so sorry for her. Cantrell saw her dad's tennis shoes and the backpack he always used to change into and out of his restaurant clothes. She gave police officers his name and age, but they told her the victim was too young to be Norris. 3 hours would pass before they returned, and then they confirmed the victim was in fact her dad. Cantrell heard nothing from detectives after, except for a comment from one of the detectives that made her believe he'd been robbed. And the quote that the detective commented or made was, "He put up a fight." Cantrell doesn't know of anyone who would want to hurt her father, and that's all we have. I could find nothing into the investigation. I couldn't find if they were interviewing people, if they had any persons of interest, if there was any surveillance footage. Couldn't find anything. Nothing about DNA evidence. I just couldn't find anything, and I don't know if maybe they don't have anything or if they're just not releasing it. But this is literally all I could find. And as far as we know, or as far as I know at least, this case is still unsolved. We still don't know who killed Norris, and this seems to be random. Like, it seems that he was robbed on his way home, and he did put up a fight. And I'm going back to the thought that I told you I had earlier is, what if he had just stayed a little bit later at work? Shooting pool with his friends like he normally did. What if he just didn't change his routine this one time? Could he still be alive? If this was truly random, I mean, the victim would have probably been somebody else if they were intending to rob somebody. But if he had just stayed a little bit later, I kind of feel like maybe he would still be with us. Not saying it's his fault at all. He's allowed to leave his job and go home whenever he wants. It's just like, those are the kind of things that makes you think of these, in these cases where the crime seems random. What if they had just done that little thing just slightly different? Would they have been in that path of this person that intended harm? And it's just so sad to think that that happened, and Cantrell saw it and was like, "This is my dad," and the police were like, "No, no, it's not, it's too young." And then they went back and confirmed, like, "Yeah, you were right, it's your dad." Like, that is absolutely horrifying. I can't imagine how she must have felt. I can't imagine how any of his kids must feel knowing that their dad was just taken from them like this and they have no answers. So if any of his family comes across this, I am so sorry. Um, it's senseless, and your dad sounded like a wonderful man, and he was so young, and it's heartbreaking. I just hope that they can come up with somebody, find out who did this, and put them away so that they can have true, honest justice. But I do have a phone number if you have information that is helpful to the police. Do call the New Orleans Police Department homicide detective or department, I'm sorry, at 504-658-5300. Again, that number is 504-658-5300. Thank you guys so much for listening to this. I will see you guys very soon, as in tomorrow. And thank you so much for listening to Norris's story. Bye, guys.